morning and welcome to Boxing Day. As I look at myself on the screen, I'm a little grainy, but there's very little I can do about that, so I hope you can hear me okay. Before I talk about the second day of Christmas, I want to tell you about the rest of the day. As a special Christmas treat, you're going to have the opportunity to listen to the ministry team throughout the day, or of course you can do it on catch-up later. The initial broadcast will follow each hour, but if you don't want to keep tuning in, you can always come back tomorrow and watch the recordings when you like. They all follow a pattern called A Life in the Day Of, which we have unashamedly pinched from the Sunday Times magazine. So hopefully you will learn a little bit more about our daily lives, interspersed with something which may or may not be a little more profound. As it was my idea, I was volunteered to go for it. So, my name is Mark Ward. I have lived in Sandal Heath, just outside Fordingbridge, for 25 years with my wife Margaret. Our three married children live in Norwich, Nottingham and Leeds, and between them they have so far produced 8 children. 4 days a week I work for the Trussell Trust, which is the charity behind well over 400 of the United Kingdom's food banks. I have 3 half allotments, and I really enjoy foreign language noir on Saturday evenings. I've been a lay minister in Avon Valley churches since 2005. Monday to Thursday, I'm at my desk, or nowadays the dining table, by 7:15 in front of the computer, where I will spend the next 9.5 hours or so. And I'll be dealing with safeguarding, data protection, charity governance, and all the other juicy issues that nobody else wants to deal with. So on a Friday and Saturday, I like a lie-in with Radio 3 and a book, usually on my Kindle. Around 9, I'll wander downstairs and have some gluten-free toast with Marmite, or maybe some jam if I've made some recently, gooseberry at the moment, or even perhaps a poached egg. I don't do breakfast on working days, but if I can gently slide into breakfast, well, that's fine. Depending on the weather, it's a sermon or maybe the allotment. If it's Saturday, I've now got Radio 4 on until 11, when it's back to Radio 3. I look forward to writing the sermons. I always try to tie them to the gospel reading, but sometimes I start weeks ahead. Now, this can be a double-edged sword, because it gives me all sorts of time to keep on changing it, and I do that on numerous occasions. If I'm stuck, I might read other sermons on the internet, and I often just find a few words which set me off to where I want to go. I really like writing now. I don't have to use a pen. I wonder sometimes if I ask you too many questions and I make too many challenges, but Jesus challenged everyone, and I hope at least sometimes people go home and think about the subject matter. And I've absolutely no problem if people disagree with me. This is also then my Bible study week by week. At 12:15, I switched to Scala for nearly an hour to listen to Simon Mayo and his cook guest, Nigel Barton. Lunchtime, both days, is cheese and biscuits. I love cheese. The smellier, the better. In the summer, accompanied by homegrown lettuce, radishes and cucumber, and possibly tomatoes. Now at lunchtime, I've gone back to Radio 3. If I was at the allotment earlier with my battery radio, I've now got to write my sermon this afternoon. As I said earlier in the week, my job is looking after some quite technical stuff for the Trussell Trust food banks. I'm continually amazed at some of the questions, but my job allows them to do what they do best, feed people, and not to have to worry about all the other stuff. Sometimes people seem to think I know huge amounts about governance or safeguarding or data protection, but to be honest, most of the time it's just that I know where to look to find the answer, and I'm often only about 10 minutes ahead of everybody else. All of the food banks in our network are Christian-led, so my job means I can live out my faith to serve others, which is a real bonus. In this house we share the cooking, but not together, and I do Saturday evening. I treated myself to a really lovely barbecue a few years ago. Despite lots of use, she's still in perfect showroom condition. I love looking at recipes, but I often find I have to substitute ingredients because I never do the shopping. I treat Nigel Slater books like novels because they tell such stories. I met him a couple of years ago with Nigella when I picked up an Observer Award for the Trussell Trust, together with Jay Rayner, who I listen to when he hosts the Kitchen Cabinet on Saturday morning on Radio 4. Oh, and as to radio, if I'm now preparing our evening meal, I'm on Radio 6 Music with Craig Charles, his funk and soul show. It's good music to cook to. Cooking supper, whether outside or in the kitchen, usually involves a bottle of gluten-free beer. In the summer, every meal includes courgettes. Saturday is also the evening for a nice bottle of red shared between us, even if it's chicken or fish. I'm also a fan of poultry and game. And I've never had any turtle doves, but I'm partial to a pigeon or a pheasant. Whether I could cope with 22 over 11 days, though, I'm not so sure. Which leads me to digress for a few moments, as well as today's ministry team series, we're also on the second day of our 12 days of Christmas thought for the day. Some of you already know this. I'm a bit bar humbug about Christmas, not because I don't love it, but because the commerciality of it just winds me up and it starts far too soon, and we miss Advent. Apparently, I'm also difficult to buy presents for because I like surprises and I won't write a list. The way I look at Christmas is that it exists because of Easter. If Easter hadn't happened, the Christmas baby wouldn't have the significance that it has. Christmas Day is always a bit hectic, and oddly, I think the second day of Christmas is the day I think more about Christ's birth, which sort of fits in with my love of turkey on the second day, cold with a jacket potato, much more than I did hot the day before. Of course, accompanied by those dreadful carrots, broccoli and Brussels sprouts, which I'm always trying to avoid. And then, of course, I can boil up the bones for some soup. From now on, I'm looking forward to Epiphany and the arrival of those travellers from the East. And I really hope the radio will play Cornelius's The Three Kings, which I've loved since I heard the choir of St Orphan's Church, Grantham, sing it when I was about 9. The soloist was a man called Ralph Proctor. He had a beautiful tenor voice, which I'll never forget. But back to my day. At around 9 in the evening, we settled down to watch what's ever on BBC 4, or on Friday, what's on IT Channel 4. Something with a serious plot from Scandinavia, or France, or the much more light-hearted Sicilian Inspector Montalbano. Then it's off to bed, where I might read for 20 minutes. I try to read something faith-related in the week, and then try for at least a few minutes to give thanks for the day. But I often fall asleep before my mind wanders off. Bishop Jonathan, now Dean of York Minster and a good friend, once told me that he really struggles to pray, and he would suddenly find himself thinking about what he had to get next in Tesco's. So knowing he struggled made me feel a bit better. And so now I just simply use the Jesus prayer which he taught me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me a sinner. Now, in the magazine for The Life of the Day, it asks 3 questions. And everybody that you hear today should answer the same 3 questions. The first one is, best advice I was given. Well, mine is, it's okay not to know exactly which book comes where in the Bible. That's why there's an index page. Bishop told me that. Advice I'd give to somebody else, I'm not really into giving advice. I don't mind asking questions, but I don't think I ever really give advice. What I wish I'd known. Sometimes others have to accept who you are. You don't always have to bend to their agenda. Well, that's me done. And don't forget to watch out for the rest of the team on the hour throughout the day. And in a moment, Gary might tell you who's coming next. I hope you have a lovely Christmas. Goodbye.